Hey there, and welcome to another episode of Breakdown with Bren. It's gonna be a big one. Fnatic Onic Philippines versus Falcons AP Bren from Week 4, Day 3 of MPL Philippines Season 14. FNOP got to defeat FCAP, and this is how they did it. We'll hop straight into it, starting with this sequence from game number 1. It's gonna be a quick one. You can actually see Brusco and Kirk have already started the turtle for Fnatic Onic Philippines, and you see the two junglers going after their purple buffs. One thing that I really liked here was that Fnatic Onic Philippines read the situation very quickly. We're gonna let it play out, and you see King Kong let go of that purple buff and decided to go for the turtle instead. The information shared by Fnatic Onic Philippines is there's a good chance Kyle TZ wasn't actually there and that they could get the turtle without a problem. So Fnatic Onic Philippines continued it, and you're gonna see here the funny little interaction between a Jushin and the Grok. You can actually see that having the Grok around the Jushin isn't good for the Grok until you hit level 4. He's only level 3 here, but for majority of the time, Ingan mentioned it. He said that, hey, if you are Brusco, you're thinking, do you really want to zone out? Because as you're zoning out, the Jushin will just easily get stacks on you and then pull you back. But nice little play by Brusco, and they were able to deny the kill. A good block from Super Friends, because he used his Eternal Guard, and this is one of the reasons why Super Friends was my personal MVP for this series and why I predicted the Fnatic Onic Philippines would win this with Super Friends getting the MVP. That's one of the things he's just so good at. He's really good at covering and blocking with his abilities, maximizing the crowd control that he has with the mages that he ends up with, and Brusco will be able to escape, responding well to Falcons AP Bren's decision to try and get a kill instead by popping the regen. That's why Brusco was able to survive there. He popped the regen to get away. See here the weird little interaction that I was talking about with the Grok versus the Jushin. Without level 4, Brusco would have been a tough spot here. But since now he's level 5 and he has his ultimate, the Jushin bringing in the Grok is actually surprisingly not good for the Jushin, because then you put yourself in a position where the opposing roamer, the Grok, will be in a better spot to drop his ultimate. Bang. Just like that. So again, if we rewind it, you'll actually see, yes, you get to bring the Grok to a position where you can lower his health, potentially build advantage. But if you're not going to be taking him down, then it's not going to work out well for you. Super Friends was able to poke down Few. Brusco knows where Few is. Flicker, Wild Charge. So good what Brusco was able to do there. And yeah, that's one thing you have to keep in mind in the little matchup between a Jushin and a Grok. This one is just another highlight of Super Friends and why I thought he was so good in this series overall. So you see Ogwen and Few are in prime position to set something up, and that's what is done. King Kong is able to dash away, but Ogwen and Few will be able to catch the Vexana. And of course, if you're Few, you're gonna be like, alright, let me just pull him back, deal a little bit more damage onto him. You have Flap TZ's X-Borg on the wings, on the way. So it's a right call. But what Super Friends did is, instead of tossing his Deathly Grasp, the Terrify skill of the Vexana, what he ended up doing was that he threw it onto Few instead. That's targeted, most likely. I don't want to assume right away, but if that was the intention of Super Friends, he did good, because that means you get to stop the Jushin from adding more marks onto you, increasing your chance of being able to get away and not getting pulled back by the Jushin. Instead of automatically just tossing it into Ogwen, he tossed it towards Few, so that, well, he'll be able to escape eventually. And we're gonna let this play out, because as you can see, Super Friends will be able to get away, and Flap TZ, not gonna lie, he made the right call here to try and use the Flicker and the ultimate of the X-Borg, the Last Insanity, to catch people. But unfortunately, Super Friends still had his Flicker, Brusco still has his Wild Charge, and Fnatic Onic Philippines would just punish Falcons AP Bren. I wanted to highlight this play by Brusco because it was just a really great zone out, using his Guardian's Barrier to make sure that Kyle TZ, if ever he wanted to contest, try to Retribution this turtle away, he's gonna put himself in danger. He can potentially get the turtle, but he'll have to dash in, use the enhanced sword to make sure that he'll be able to retry it, and because he's blocked off by the Edith, which is right here, the wall, which he has to dash through, as we mentioned, King Kong's there, Kelra's there. It'll be so risky if Kyle TZ decides to go in and takes that turtle away. Good zone out by Kirk. You see how he's just right there already forcing stuff out of Kyle TZ. And as we play the sequence, you see Kyle decides to not commit into it and they just back off. Great turtle take by Fnatic Onic Philippines on the back of great zone outs by their frontliners. This one's a long one, but watch Brusco on the map. He is shadowing Kelra. Shadowing meaning he's just watching over him and defending him, not necessarily beside him, but defending the entryways leading up to the location of Kelra. So he's holding his shrub here. He was here earlier, got here. Ogwen and the others weren't able to see him walk into that shrub. So what you're going to be seeing is Fnatic Onic Philippines doing one of the things that they do best, and which is making surprise plays. Doing the plays that teams don't expect other teams to do because it looks quite risky. However, it is calculated risk by Fnatic Onic Philippines because they know what they have around it. So Brusco, Power of Nature, CC immune, next to a wall, avoids a knockback by Super Marco, and he's able to just turn around. Good commitment of the conceal. So this is Fnatic Onic Philippines now. Ha, surprise. There's 3 of us here actually. So Flicker, great, forcing out the Purify from the Super Marcos Moskov after that, and decides to continue the fight. They'll be able to get a crowd control on Ogwen. Here comes the other members of Fnatic Onic Philippines, quickly responding, electrifying beats by the Joy. Last Insanity is not gonna get anyone, maybe just a little bit onto Kirk, and Ogwen is down. That's now advantage for Fnatic Onic Philippines. But Falcons AP Bren is the one who's actually gonna get the win here. And this is one of the things that Fnatic Onic Philippines needs to sort of look at and respect in terms of when they're going to be aggressive, because this is one of the reasons why they lose games. It's that the surprise aggression this time of their opponents. Just when they think that they have an advantage, their opponents do something to turn things around. That's what happens here. So Brusco gets brought back by Few, which forces the response by Kelra, Kirk, and Super Friends to collapse and help out their roamer. They're gonna commit to the fight, and considering that they don't have their roamer anymore, they know the last Insanity of the X-Borg is used. If you're Fnatic Onic Philippines, you will decide to take this fight. But it seems like at that moment, they just forgot about the Moskov split pushing. Classic Moskov play, split push, and just go in with your ultimate at another time. Fnatic Onic Philippines' Kelra decides to dive. It is not going to be able to take down Few. Kelra is forced to flicker away, setting up for Super Marco, hitting the Spear of Destruction, coming in, getting the easy kills. Falcons AP Bren would re-engage. Flap TZ's last Insanity and Firaga armor would come back in time. Falcons AP Bren would win it on the back of this play from Super Marco. So that game number 1 really got to highlight the strengths of Fnatic Onic Philippines, but also what Falcons AP Bren does best. Their veterancy really shows in terms of deciding when to take fights and when to take re-engages. Something the Fnatic Onic Philippines is really good at as well, especially since they're so good at man marking. Roamer, EXP, mid laner, even Kelra, the gold laner, knows their job so well in a team fight around objectives, or especially around objectives. They know which man to mark, while King Kong is just there to either sweep up or focus on getting the retribution on the objectives. However, they would get punished for deciding to do one of their signatures just off of the back of a great response by Falcons AP Bren. With all of that mentioned, keep that in mind because it's going to be important to really understand and contextualize what happens in games 2 and 3 and why Fnatic Onic Philippines is able to take the series win. Let's start off game 2 with an unfortunate little sequence from Fnatic Onic Philippines. As if you remember, if you weren't able to see it, Few actually got the first turtle of the game, stealing it away from Fnatic Onic Philippines because an early retribution. 3 HP. It's just unfortunate. No one from Fnatic Onic Philippines was fast enough to react to just even basic attack it. One quick little skill, and Few was, as you can see, that his Zask is already charging up. I believe his first skill, and then just like that. Quick one. So to make up for that, Fnatic Onic Philippines then decides to focus onto the bottom lane. Before we got to this scenario here now with 5 members of Fnatic Onic Philippines, all in the bottom lane to pressure Super Marco. They already gathered to go there, and after that turtle was taken, they just focused around staying in the bottom. Super Marco could tell that something might be up, this looks risky, so Falcons AP Bren decides to commit the trade. They trade out the bottom tower. Super Marco will be delayed a little bit in the farm, but they get the top tower and they get some push there. However, quick call by Fnatic Onic Philippines to commit the diversion. You got the Zask and the Lolita, Ogwen and Few, deciding to take this fight. They're in the shrub, so they know that the diversion is coming. What they don't know is how many. They thought they were just gonna get checked. They didn't expect Fnatic Onic Philippines to commit it. Implosion in. Once Brusco goes out, Few gets taken down, Ogwen gets taken out, and that was a hell of a play there by Fnatic Onic Philippines to make up for the fact that they didn't get Turtle 1. This time we're gonna look at this play to highlight how great Brusco is, and with his surprise entries or late entries, which are all intended. So Falcons AP Bren gets Fnatic Onic Philippines out of position here, and so they take advantage via this position. However, what happens is, again, MOBA is about trading. If you're in the pro scene and you know how to trade well, you have your bases covered. Kelra can come from here. You got members of Fnatic Onic Philippines that can come from there. However, Falcons AP Bren, what they can get that with the trade-off of that is that you actually can get Kirk down. So Falcons AP Bren will force a reaction. Brusco would go in with a great implosion, 3-man. Keller would even get the pull, but the problem with this is because of Falcons AP Bren committing the play here, the rotation of the Lo Yi was already brought down. So they couldn't maximize the damage of this beautiful combo by Brusco and Kelra because Super Friends can only just toss out dispersions since his rotation was already committed. This would have been an amazing play by Fnatic Onic Philippines if it wasn't for the fact that Lo Yi no longer had the rotation, couldn't maximize the damage. Few would go in, get the turtle again. Falcons AP Bren, knowing that there are big ticket ultimates out from Fnatic Onic Philippines already. The Edith is already brought low. Yes, you have the Primal Wrath, but you are healthier in this fight. You just got the shield, so you can continue fighting. Flask of the Oasis was just built by Ogwen, so even more shields can be dished out by the Lolita. He'll even get a great Numenon blast off. This was just an unfortunate sequence by Fnatic Onic Philippines, not communicating that, oh, we're not going to be able to maximize damage here. Kirk is already low. Super Friends doesn't have the dispersion or the rotation anymore, and it was just a good call by Falcons AP Bren as well to continue the aggression and deciding to fight. This is what I really like about Fnatic Onic Philippines. So as you can see, in the bottom lane of the map, Fnatic Onic Philippines actually sacrificed their tower in the bottom because they thought, okay, we're just gonna fight it out. Falcons AP Bren, I'm sure they already knew that by this point, because leading up to it, they already saw the other members of FNOP, so they know that it would be a trade. So Fnatic Onic Philippines decides to commit the trade. As we backtrack a little bit, Falcons AP Bren are coming from the bottom. Flap TZ is holding their shrub. They have info. Kelra actually got the initial burst down onto Few. along with Kirk, so they're able to take down the Zask. That's why they can afford to trade the tower in the bottom lane. They already have advantage. It's 5v4. You're gonna wanna commit to this Lord. So Super Friends and Brusco decide to perfectly diversion into the back, concealed by Brusco. He's able to get Flap TZ and Ogwen, that's the frontliners. Kirk turns his attention towards Super Marco over here, so that the gold laners zoned out instead of just focusing on getting the kill or the damage or whatnot onto Ogwen, Kyle, or Flap. They just said, you know what, we're gonna get them down anyway, and they do. Great pull by Kelra, great pounce by King Kong, and Fnatic on the Philippines will get that Lord. Now let's go into the ending sequence of game number 2. Started off by, again, I would really like to highlight Brusco here. He concealed, going from this location, going to the circle to go to Kyle TZ. That's just a clean conceal implosion to stop the opposing jungler from being able to retribution away. He even knocks him back, and you see there, FNOP gets the Lord without a problem, but they're now at risk. They have one big ticket ultimate down. The Primal Wrath was already committed by the Edith, so now Falcons AP Bren will call for the fight, go for the punish instead. Flap is brought low, but he's able to Winter Crown, and Ogwen uses the Revitalize to heal him up. You have few moving forward with the Dominators to send to deal damage, and the goal here for Falcons AP Bren is trade, get kills, and make that Lord useless. FNOP is low. Big ticket ultimates are gone. Kelra already used the pull. You will fight here if you're Falcons AP Bren, and they made the right call. But here comes King Kong again, making a surprising play. When I initially saw that, I thought risky. So instead of just leaving him be, Fnatic Onic Philippines does another good thing. One of their strengths, they improvised. King Kong is able to get away, and Kelra is there ready to cover him. And that decision to not leave King Kong behind, show why you're the super fam, is what led to Kelra being able to use the flicker, second skill. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment, and especially since there's a lot of bars, but you'll see here. Watch where the arrow, or don't watch. Watch where my mouse cursor is. See that? That's Kelra. He'll go forward. Damage, damage. There. Stunned. That's it. That's Kelra getting the flicker and the second skill off. And they'll continue the sequence. Super Marco's down, and now Falcons AP Bren is in trouble because they don't have their main damage dealer. So their goal now is to just get away safely, try to help, but what a diversion call by Fnatic Onic Philippines. Brusco is low. Fnatic Onic Philippines are low, but they have their main damage dealers still alive. It's 5 versus 3 or 4 versus 3 in this scenario until it becomes until King Kong joins in. Brusco gets taken out. Kelra, insane spell vamp to survive it all. Kirk even got his Primal Wrath back in time so that he can flicker forward himself and deal damage. Ogwen, good block, but Kelra, damage way too high, sustain way too high. Here comes King Kong to clean it up, and Fnatic Onic Philippines wins game number 2. If you've made it this far, thank you for your time to watch. Don't forget to like and share the video, and please subscribe to our channel. Tell your friends about our little Mobile Legends Bang Bang channel, and that an MPL Philippines and MLBB esports analyst who's been doing this for many years is analyzing games like these. A lot of people still don't know, so your help would be truly appreciated. Let's go now into game number 3 and have another example of Fnatic Onic Philippines' great man marking. Like, come on. Brusco and Kirk working together here to get the vision, to get the info. The turtle's looking here, but if the turtle is in this area, this close to the edge, that means you know that the jungle is in this spot or somewhere around there, most likely. So Brusco will commit the flicker, bang! Tyrant's Revenge. Good man marking and good recovery by Fnatic Onic Philippines. Because of this pressure, Kyle TZ actually retributioned early That's the retribution of Kyle TZ coming down from the heavens there. So 245 left. Few got a really good Frigid Glacier to get a 2-man stun onto FNOP, but unfortunately King Kong wasn't there. King Kong was waiting for his time. He rolled in back into human form, able to retreat away, and FNOP gets the first turtle. Great man marking and great coverage by Fnatic. Now I wanted to pause on the screen because I wanted to highlight Kelra's itemization path on this Ruby up against Moskov in the gold lane. So because Ruby is a lane bully, especially for squishier heroes and with minions around, it's actually surprisingly difficult to lane around her because of the spell vamp that she gets. You have the Moskov building, the warrior boots, so he gets a little bit more defense as the fighting goes on, as the dueling goes on, and has swift crossbow already. Kelra, on the other hand, he's in the gold lane. He doesn't need to go around, and he's a fighter, so he doesn't need the movement speed that much as long as he times his entries well. So he actually built leather jerkin, the ogre axe, iron hunting bow, and goes for the ring as well. So he's already going into building the war axe, if I'm not mistaken, and he has a little bit of sustainability as well. So good itemization coming in from Kelra. Now for this one, this just doesn't show how brilliant Fnatic is, it shows how brilliant Falcons is, because come on, and yes, come on again, so good these two. So I'm pretty sure Falcons AP Bren made the call, hey Ogwyn, defend the purple buff. Falcons AP Bren are already here. They're already getting the turtle. The information that Falcons AP Bren had was that King Kong would be coming from the top because they saw them up top with the Ruby, pressuring the Moskov, breaking the tower down. So Ogwyn just makes and Falcons AP Bren makes the right decision to just defend their purple buff, while Falcons AP Bren will be the one to get the turtle. And as they contest it out, Fnatic Onic Philippines doesn't get the turtle, but the purple buff gets stolen by King Kong. And because knowing that, King Kong will get his purple buff without a problem once it spawns. Falcons AP Bren actually tried. Later on, you'll see that they go into the mid lane to try and pressure around the purple buff, but they're just not able to. See this 5-man formation? That's them potentially looking for an opening to go into here, just try to find and force something in the mid lane. They couldn't find it, so Fnatic Onic Philippines, good trade, but Falcons AP Bren, good attempt to recover from their buff being stolen from them, and good information to provide that their buff was stolen by King Kong. Now this one, we really gotta credit Falcons AP Bren. Fnatic Onic Philippines inadvertently gave their opponents their best team fighting condition. Because Brusco decides to come into play onto FlapTZ, who is the true frontliner for AP Bren in this lineup. The Jawhead is just there to zone, pick off, and be a sponge. You have the Phoveus as your true frontliner because he's the annoying presence you have to react to and respond to, because if you don't, he's gonna mess up your team. So Brusco is able to catch the Phoveus, bang, but Fnatic Onic Philippines, with their close range lineup, all decide to dive in, which is just perfect for Super Marco, for Few, and for Kyle TZ as well. That is a dream scenario for AP Bren to just fight, and once you saw that spear going in, that's like moments before disaster material. And as we play it, it was disastrous by for Fnatic Onic Philippines because Super Marco gets a maniac. And I like what Super Marco does here. He's chasing down Super Friends. He pops the Purify so that he doesn't get slowed by the Nightmare spawn, so he doesn't get more hits from the turret, so he can get out of range of the turret ASAP to be able to catch Super Friends more. Great usage of the Purify to cap off that play with the Maniac by Super Marco. Now, to make up for that loss we just saw where Super Marco got a Maniac, Fnatic Onic Philippines made the right play here. Brusco actually came from this shrub, that little shrub by the wall in front of the inner turret in the bottom lane. Yeah, you see that circled up right there. He came from there, he concealed, and you'll see that he will catch Super Marco because Kelra gave the information that the Moskov went into that shrub. So dang, what an initiation by Brusco. Super Marco will get away from this because Ogwen blocked really well. Unstoppable force threw back Brusco rather, so that the bouncing ball won't stop the Moskov from getting away. Great call. King Kong will try to commit, but once he sees the other members of Falcons AP Bren coming, he decides to back off. He does not want to take that trade. Fnatic Onic Philippines takes other trades instead. Great Frigid Glacier by Few to stop them. Kelra, insane sustain again, gets the pull. Few, Flap, TZ, and Ogwen now at risk because Super Prince is healthy. King Kong is there as well, and Brusco. My goodness, watch what Brusco does here. It's just so good. See Brusco? He'll load up the Tyrant's Rage and then flickers in. That's with the Tyrant's Rage being charged. That's why he gets that quick two-man stun. Hell of a play by Brusco. Follow up, Dominator's Descent by Super Prince. So good. This is our second to the last play that we're going to be analyzing, and this sets up what will be the game-winning play by Fnatic Onic Philippines later. Because if you look here, Falcons AP Bren, it's an early retribution by Kyle TZ, but FCAP will still be able to get that Lord. Kirk fronted, Kelra fronting, the back line disrupted by Ogwen. It's a great toss, I believe, onto King Kong, but Brusco turned this around for Fnatic Onic Philippines alongside Super Friends. Because if we backtrack a bit, you'll see. Let's track this time Brusco and Super Friends. They are over here. And as the sequence plays out, you see Dominator's Descent into the shrub by Super Friends. So he'll be able to free hit without that much of a problem. FCAP's just gonna be taking damage while that Dominator's Descent is in the shrub. And Brusco, concealed, or I believe he was in the shrub at that time, will be able to get a two-man airborne knockup with the Tyrant's Revenge. And at the same time, get the Tyrant's Rage onto Few. You already force out the Purify from the Moskov because of what Brusco did. Few is getting whittled down, damaged by the Dominator's Descent in the shrub, as you can see there. Flap, TZ, and Ogwen are pushing back the members of Fnatic Onic Philippines, but they don't have enough damage to do a significant turnaround play for themselves over there because their backline is busy dealing with the Moskov and dealing with the Zask. Few will go down, Brusco will get taken out, King Kong will get the chase, and what is a Lord's Cure for Falcons AP Bren turns into a post-objective punish win by Fnatic Onic Philippines. I used that play to set up the winning and final analysis for this game number 3 and for the series because it's Brusco and Super Friends who will win it for Fnatic Onic Philippines, or at least begin the sequence that won it for them. Brusco, charging up his Tyrant's Revenge, will focus it onto Flap TZ, committing the flicker, catching the Phoveus. Again, they're catching the frontliner and the main annoying presence for Fnatic Onic Philippines to deal with. It's followed up by Kelra going in, getting the pullback onto Flap TZ. So Phoveus is pulled, stunned, crowd controlled under turret, not good for him. Brusco gets tossed back by Ogwen, so now it looks like it's gonna be a trade. Frontliner for frontliner, Kufra for the Phoveus. Problem is, watch Super Friends, his Dominator's Descent will relocate to here, and he will get the stun and damage onto the two main backliners, onto the Aurora and onto the Moskov. Super Marco forced to Purify. Kautizi will get the knockup to delay, but at this point, that already looks bad for Falcons AP Bren. Super Marco is low. Fnatic Onic Philippines are chased down, dive, frontline type of fighters. Kyle TZ gets taken out. That's 3. And Fnatic Onic Philippines will win on the back of that sequence, pushing down middle lane with Super Marco making the questionable decision for me to not go back. Again, we don't know whose call it was or if it really was Marco's complete decision to not go back here. He can't go back with a Spear of Destruction because if he goes back here, he's down. Risky. So he decides to push instead. You see 4 members of Fnatic Onic Philippines, no info on the alpha. So Falcons AP Bren just says, hey, you know what? Let's pressure instead. See if we can force them to get out. That's only 1 siege minion anyway. I think the Jawhead will be able to fight it out. Nope, he won't be able to. Jawhead will go down fast. You actually have Super Prince going back, recalling to base. They're not going to be able to take that final siege minion down in the mid lane. Ogwen goes down. Another minion wave is coming in. And Moskov will not be able to go back. Fnatic Onic Philippines takes the series from Falcons AP Bren in what is the best series of the season so far in Season 14, and it's going to be very difficult to top that. So I really hope you learned something from this episode of Breakdown with Renmar. I learned a lot watching and analyzing this series. Don't forget, Week 5 is coming up later this week. A lot more MPL Philippines action coming your way. Please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't to yet. That would really mean a lot to me, and it'll be really appreciated if you take the time to spread the word about our videos, about our channel, and what we do here. Thank you so much. I'll see you this week for MPL Philippines on the English panel yet again, because I will be there all 3 days. Gonna be working all weekend on the Infinix Game Tambayan, analyzing the games for ya. See you on this week's MPL.